really only have so much time. So today I really want to focus on the main instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What's the word in Sanskrit for instructions? I really only have so much time. So very cool. It looks like there was the Holi festival. Yes. Hare Krishna, come on in, please. Tej, happy to have you. Happy Gaura Purnima. So, what's the word for instructions in, what's that? Yeah, shiksha. What's that?
There are more, but...
Yes, but one other word is shiksha. So actually what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the, there's 8 prayers. I really love, were you at a Holi festival?
Yes.
Very nice. Happy Holi. It's coming tomorrow. Or you start now. Good. So what is an 8-verse poem or a song called? Yes, an ashtakam, right? So now we have the instructions in an 8. Yes, the Shikshastakam. Yes, the instructions, the song of instructions. So this is actually what Chaitanya, he left one work in the world. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he left one work, and it's the Shikshastakam. So we are going to actually go through maybe the first verse, second verse, maybe hopefully we get to the third verse. And then after that, it'll be too difficult because there's so much packed into just the 8 verses. Actually, you could write a whole book on it. There are whole books on it. I recommend you read them if you can. But just so you know, like I said, I only have so much time, but I want to get into the main instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu right here. This is a beautiful picture. He is like a glowing, beautiful personality. They called him Gauranga, he of golden limbs. They would call him Gaura Hari, the golden Hari, the golden Lord who would come. He was so beautiful, and he completely captivated everyone in Puri, including the king. The king and the top Vedantic scholar at the time, which was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, they were just completely captivated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and became his devotees. And he just has done so much to impact, especially in India. If you go to Mayapur, everything rotates around Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But even if you go to Vrindavan, which is like one of the main holy places in India, if you go to this holy place, everything there that's established, the main force behind it was actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And his disciples, the 6 Goswamis, were the ones who pretty much inaugurated all of the main forms of worship, still to this day, that are prominent in Vrindavan. But let's get to his instructions. Okay, the first verse goes like this. If you know it, we chant it in the morning every day. So if you come here in the mornings, chant along. Cheto darpanamarjanam Bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya kadavachandrika vitaranam Vidya vadu jivanam. Wow. Nanandam buddhi varanam pratipadam Purnamrita spadanam Sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. No, not yet. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is said to be a Chana avatar, meaning a covered over avatar. Why? Because he had a specific purpose. When Krishna came, he fully flaunted himself. Not everyone believed that he was God, but those who were in the know, they knew. Lord Ram, same thing. Nrsimha, Vaman, so many of the other avatars, that's always the thing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not like that. People would recognize that he's God, he's glowing, he's got this aura, he's amazing. And then they would say, you must be Narayan. And he would put his hands in his ears and say, Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. I cannot hear such blasphemy. He didn't want at all that anyone to worship him as God, even though he was. Why? Because in this age, he wanted to show us the pathway, and that what is that? The pathway of devotion, how to be a devotee. And he wanted to show it. Before it was like, I'm God, please worship me. That's in your best interest. Now it's, even though he was God, he's like, even though I'm God, I'm not telling you that, but come on, let's worship God together. And so that's what he did. He rallied everyone to worship the Lord together. So, this is what's being described, his process of worship. He says, Param bijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Param is the topmost, transcendental. Vijayati, let there be victory. In Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. For the congregational, we said San is in a group, congregational, and Kirtanam, chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And Krishna Sankirtanam is that chanting or glorification of Shri Krishna, who is established to be God. At least in India, everyone's heard of Bhagavad Gita, right? What does Bhagavad Gita mean? The song of God, yes. And so who is the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna. So it's the song of Krishna, and Krishna is God, the song of God. So his main weapon and his main idea for us was to do Sankirtanam of Krishna. If you don't know who Krishna is, I would recommend knowing who Krishna is. We have lots of books. Bhagavad Gita here is the main teaching of Krishna. But Srimad Bhagavatam is even more comprehensive. And that's the whole set back there, right behind Shubham's head. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's all of the essential instructions of Krishna and all of his prime avatars, the Dashavatars. And then on top of that, all of his great devotees who led by example. So I would recommend, we aren't a movement of sentimentalism. We're not a movement, just chant and feel. That's there. You'll see that in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions. But ultimately, there's a deep philosophy. There's a deep reasoning as to why we're doing this. There's evidence and there's instructions given by the Lord in different avatars and different great personalities who achieve perfection as to why to do this. So we're very philosophical as well. We're not just sentimentalism. So anyhow, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. What will Sankirtan do for you? Cheto is the heart. Cheta is the heart. Or even the mind. They say in the Vedas, we think we put the mind in the head. That's where the intellect is. That's where the discriminating factor is. But what's actually where the desire is coming from? It's coming from the heart. And in the Vedic understanding, that's where the mind really is in the heart. So Cheta of the heart. Darpana, the mirror, that which is reflected in the heart. Marjanam, cleanses. It'll cleanse the heart. Anyone here have some things come up in your heart that you're not so proud of? Yes. If anyone is honest in this room, you should say, yes, I have things in my heart that I'm not so proud of, that aren't so good. This is the process to cleanse it. Engage it in God, actually. That's what a mantra is, right? Mantra means what? Where's someone of the Vedic culture here? Man and tra. What two syllables? What do they mean? What does man mean? The mind. Tra means what? From trayate, to free. It's a tool to free your mind. So the mind is in the heart, and it'll cleanse by putting just like when you have a dirty cup of water, right? If you pour clean water in, eventually all the dirty water will come out and what's left will be clean. So we have a dirty mind, right? Some of us are more dirty than others, but we're all pretty dirty. But when we pour the names of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, we pour the Lord into our heart. Be it His names, His fames, His glories, His pastimes, all of this. This is what will cleanse. So this is why he says, Sankirtan, just always keep glorifying the Lord. That's what everyone should do. So it'll cleanse our heart. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Bhava is of material existence. Mahadavagni. So Mahadavagni is translated here as the blazing forest fire. The great forest fire. Nirvapanam. Extinguishing. So we have this the Bhava Mahadavagni is the forest fire of material existence. Everyone we think, okay, I don't want to be so negative, but if we think that this world is so wonderful, we haven't really given it an honest assessment. If you really give an honest assessment of this world, what does Krishna say? He describes it in Bhagavad Gita. He calls it Dukkalaya. A world of suffering, a world of miseries. Everyone in this world is suffering threefold miseries. Is it not? I'll tell you what the threefold miseries, and you tell me that you're free from the sufferings of them. Okay, the first is adhyatmic suffering. Adhyatmic is the suffering of your own body or mind. Does anyone have any problems with their body or mind time to time? That can mean depression, a toothache, stomach ache, any type of pain, anything like this going on. Who is free from the sufferings of the body or mind? Oh, no one. Yes. I'm sorry if this is going to be big news that this world is full of suffering. I'll brace you for it now. But it's just, honestly, it's reality, is it not? Okay, so even if your body or mind is not suffering, there's the next suffering, adibhotic suffering, which means the suffering of other living entities. Even if you're by chance not suffering at the moment, there's other living entities who are always trying to cause you suffering. Who here likes to go outside? Yes, you should want to go outside. It's good for you. Did you ever go outside on a summer night at night? I was just in India, and when you were outside at night, something very bad started to happen. Yes, mosquitoes just start biting you. Ow, oh my God. I'm just sitting here trying to chant my Gayatri and in all peacefulness and all, trying to really be in a beautiful place. But then the mosquitoes start biting and biting and biting. You're like, oh my God. Who here is free from mosquito bites? No. Yes. You're free. Rishabh has defeated mosquitoes. No, they're there. You just gotta wait till summer.
I've been here in the summer. They don't bite you.
Well, you might have cleaner blood than most of us, but it's.
Been by mosquitoes in India, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, in India they're more intense. My feet were swollen when I just a month ago, but here no, they will still bite, especially if you get around the water or anything like that. But even if it's not mosquitoes, it could be the jerk who cuts you off in traffic. It can be, the guy who was mean to you, or the girl that was mean to you. There's so many living entities that are causing you suffering. It could be the person in the presidential office, or it could have been the person in the last election who was in the presidential office, or it could be all of them working together to rob the poor people of this world, because that's usually what they do. And so on. This is what happens. Okay. Let's just say my body and mind are perfect and no other living entities bother me. I will get you on this one. Adidaivic suffering. Who here, this past month it was quite cold here, right? Not for me, I was in India, it was really nice. But actually it was something different. There was heat wave. In the middle of the day it was very hot, being hot. But adidaivic means the elements of this material world. It's actually, daivas are demigods, the beings controlling over the presiding forces of nature. Most of you will not go outside, and who's sleeping outside tonight? In Syracuse? None of you? Shivadas, you might have a nice yard. You can sleep outside, no? You sleeping outside tonight? Maybe? Probably not. Why not?
Chilly.
It's, a bit chilly. You might you could probably die, actually. If you slept outside, I think it's going to be below freezing. I think you would die. Unless you really had something insulated. Yes, the forces of nature. It's too hot. It's too cold. A hurricane has come. A blizzard has come. All these things are coming. Who loves to just stand outside in a blizzard? Nobody. You'll die. You have to go away. It's literally trying to kill you. These are forms of suffering, actually. So these are the threefold miseries. And they just keep alternating, and when you're free from one, there comes another around the back door. You are not getting out. So we have to actually evaluate what's going on here. What is existence? What is the point of this all? Why am I sitting here suffering over and over again? The inquisitive person, someone who's truly a Brahmin, who's pursuing the absolute truth, they'll ask these questions. Yes, Mukunda wants you all to move forward because I think he's going to have to come through with some of the ceremonial items. Okay, actually he wants you all to make room for Kashik. So, very good. We have a VIP has come. Move forward for Kashik. Kashik, where are you? Kashik, please come in. Haribo! Haribo. Kashik, find a seat. Okay, so Bhava Maha Devagni Nirvapanam, extinguishing the forest fires of suffering in your life. Is anyone interested in extinguishing the sufferings in your life? Yeah, most of us don't want to suffer. Who here likes suffering? Most people don't. There is often a very advanced devotee will suffer for the benefit of others. But other than that, no one likes to voluntarily suffer for no reason. So actually this Sankirtan will extinguish suffering. If you don't believe me, try it. I'm not telling you to just have blind faith. What is the most crucial part of the scientific method? First you have an observation. Okay, it might be like that. What's that?
Hypothesis.
That's not the most crucial. Yes, it's experimentation. You have some observation, then you have an hypothesis, but how do you figure out whether it's true or not? You have to experiment. So I'm giving you some hypothesis right now, but this isn't the most important part. The most important part is whether you actually see if you can experiment with it and say, okay, I'll either prove him wrong or, wow, he's right, that was nice. Okay, good. So give it a go. So that's what the claim, that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. It'll cleanse your heart. It'll extinguish the forest fire of sufferings in this material existence. Does that sound pretty good? Those are two nice benefits. We're looking for that? Good. Now, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. Shreya is good, of good fortune. Kairava is like a white lotus. It's going to be some metaphors, some poetry here. Chandrika, the moonshine. And Vitaranam, spreading. So it's spreading the moonshine, or spreading the white lotus moonshine of good fortune. You guys like good fortune in your life? Yes, it's giving you blessings. By chanting, glorifying the Lord, it makes everything blessed. Just associate with the devotees. Go where people are chanting the names of God. You know who notices this? We have Airbnb stay here. And we had an Airbnb, he left this morning. And he was on his way out the door. It was definitely a foreign thing to him. But he was like, you guys got good energy. He was just saying, like, you guys got good energy. And so I had Michael run out, like, Michael, go give him a book. Because, that's, why? He's feeling the Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, the good fortune that's in a place where people are glorifying the Lord. And that's what we make our habit here. And it's becoming the character of this place, a place where the Lord is glorified. And that will bring good fortune. And if you want that good fortune in your life, one, come to places like that, or hopefully this, what we're trying to do. And then two, create many places like this all over the world. You can do it too. So anyway, Vidya Vadu Jivanam. So, Vidya is of all education, Vadhu is a wife, and Jivanam, the life. It's the life and the wife of knowledge. If you want knowledge, the topmost knowledge is going to be, in Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say the topmost knowledge is? What's the most confidential knowledge, the topmost he gives? It is Bhakti Yoga. Do you know the exact instruction, what verse it is? Rishabh, you study some Bhagavad Gita. Do you know what verse?
I don't know the number, but
Sarvadharman parityaja. It's the verse right before that. Braja, aham tvam sarvam papebhyo mokshayishami ma suchaha. I think that's the one. But actually, before that one, he says, Manmana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Evam, no. What is it? Mam evaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. He says, absorb your mind in me. Become my devotee. Offer your homage and your worship unto me. Thus you will surely come to me because you are my very dear friend. That's the number one knowledge, the topmost knowledge, it's bhakti, is that the Lord is there with you and He wants to come to you and He'll show you, He'll illumine the path to you. But you have to make the endeavor. Absorb your mind in Him. That's what a mantra is. That's why we chant mantras regarding the Lord. It's the only mantras that we should do. We have so many mantras. And, in the Vedic culture, we might chant many mantras to try and get all the material things that we want. Oh, well, if you want to get this thing, you could chant this mantra. If you want to get this thing, you could chant this mantra. You could worship this demigod. No problem. Not bad. But even better, just do the highest knowledge. Just engage your faculties of speaking or your ability to produce mantras in God, in the highest thing. That's the topmost knowledge. So it's actually the wife and the life of transcendental knowledge, the Sankirtan. In specific, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Sankirtan of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. And then he says, Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Svadanam. Yes, we'll keep going, but I'm going to explain it. Ananda. What's Ananda? Bliss. It's what we're all looking for. Who here wants to be miserable? No, we already said we're trying to get rid of our misery. Yes, come on in. Hey, we're here again. Parth is bringing his friends. Parth, go sit with your friends. Go hold hands with them. Especially the gentleman on the left. So, thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate. We're talking about the main prayer. It's a birthday today. You guys like birthdays? Yeah. Everyone likes a good birthday party, right, Kaushik? Right. So it's a great personality. Actually, it's said to be that we believe in something called an avatar. You've heard of an avatar before? Not the blue people in the movie. Other blue people in historical episodes. But avatar means one who descends from a higher plane to a lower plane. So an avatar is a spiritual, a divine personality coming into this world. So we're celebrating the golden avatar of this age only 500 years ago. In 1486, on this exact night, appeared in this world and gave these sublime teachings that we live our whole lives, at least here in this house, we live our whole lives following these teachings. So we were talking about what it does by actually fulfilling this process, which is called Sri Krishna Sankirtan. In Kirtan means to glorify the Lord. San is in a group, so we're glorifying the Lord in a group. And Sri Krishna is glorifying God. Glorifying Krishna is a name for God. It's the most beautiful, it means. And it's a name for God, the all-beautiful one. But glorifying that God in a group is said to be the best means in this age. And this avatar in specific, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wrote a prayer as to what it'll do. And first it will Cheto Darpana Marjanam, it will cleanse your heart. Bhava Mahadevagni Nirvapanam. It will remove all the sufferings from your life, which is very nice. Everyone's like, yeah, I have some icky things in my heart, things I'm not proud of that are in there. And yeah, I'm suffering, from either other living entities, or I have a stomach ache, or a toenail, or an ingrown toe, or whatever, all kinds of elaborate sufferings people have in this world. And then it said, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, that it was the ultimate good fortune coming in your life. It brings good fortune and blessings. Wherever you do this, you just see blessings, just good fortune coming to you. You ever just feel lucky? Yeah, if you do this, it's just your whole life is just going to feel like you're always lucky. That's good. We're looking for that. You trying to get lucky? Just be always in where this Sri Krishna Sankirtan is. And then it says Vidya Varu Jivanam. It's the life, it's the topmost knowledge is to always understanding these things, the aforementioned things. You'll always, if you have significant knowledge, you'll always want to be placing yourself in where all that good stuff is happening. So anyway, we're explaining a prayer of this avatar and what his process and what it'll do for us. So then he says, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam. Ananda is bliss. We're all looking for bliss. Anyone here doesn't want to be blissful? No, you'd have to be crazy to not want to be blissful. Everyone's like, yes, that's like the whole purpose of life. You know how I know it's the purpose of your life? To be happy? How do you think I know? We have some scientific students here. How do you think we know that the purpose of your life is to be happy? Yes, that's the purpose of every living entity. Every even the bug and the worm and stool, it's trying to eat to be happy, and it's trying to exist. It's trying to find happy. Do you ever hear that? This is an inappropriate Western axiom, but happier than a pig, and they use a bad word, but like happier than a pig in poop. We can't be happy rolling around in poop, but pigs sure can. Yes. So everyone is doing everything that they're trying to do, hoping that they'll get happy. But if we don't understand the science of happiness, we will not be happy. But actually this is saying this is the life of knowledge that can make you happy. So Amburi is the ocean. So it's like the ocean of bliss. Vardhanam, increasing, an ever-increasing ocean of bliss. That sounds amazing. Imagine your pleasure just being so vast, it's like ocean-like, and then it's just ever-increasing pleasure. Does that sound good? Anyone looking for ever-increasing pleasure? Yeah, that's what like all the religions, they're practicing for. They're like, in some religions, like, yeah, there's going to be ever-increasing pleasure. There'll be 72 virgins, this place. There's others that are saying, you're going to be in paradise in this place. Others, that are saying you could associate with the Lord in this way, that way, and the other thing. Everyone's looking for their pleasure, their place of pleasure. So this is what's said here. We're getting an ever-increasing ocean of pleasure. And what's the scientific method? I'm giving a hypothesis, but how do you verify? We have scientists in the room. What's the next step? Yes, Parth, you live here. You cannot say. But he is a scientist. He's a PhD student, like all the rest here. Yes, you must experiment. I'm only giving hypothesis. If you experiment, test it and see for yourself. So anyhow, Vardhanam, increasing. Pratipadam, at every step. It's always just increasing more and more and more. My life has been an experimentation. The more I do Sankirtan in my life, the more we gather more people, the more we try and glorify the Lord and live by His teachings. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually gave Nityananda Prabhu, who is the other beautiful personality here on the left, he gave him 3 instructions. Does anyone know what they were? And he said, go out and tell everyone these 3 instructions. Meghna, you know? No. Bhaja Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha. Bhaja, worship Krishna, worship God. Bolo Krishna, call God's names. Koro Krishna Shiksha, follow God's instructions. That's it. That's really it. Jesus gave very, very similar teachings as well. But that's all he said. Go out and tell people these 3 things. But we have so many, our minds, it's like, well, maybe if I do this, or maybe if I do that, I'll do anything other than that. But imagine you had an all-perfect person giving you illumination and guidance. It'd be very easy. Just like we have the all-illuminating Google. So we don't know something, Google. And now it's ChatGPT. I don't know what to do, ask ChatGPT. He'll tell me what to do. We have faith in all these things. Oh, no. I don't care what God says. I don't even want to say. That's all mythology or something like that. Maybe. But you should at least see. If you don't see, then you're not, actually, it's not quite scientific of us. We should at least look at it and then maybe even perform a few tests, and then we can verify, okay, that was bogus. It doesn't work. But maybe it does. My job is to tell you it works. In my life, it works. I was an atheist, actually. I somehow or other in college got into really interesting things. They're called psychedelic hallucinogenic drugs, actually. I'm not proud of it. Don't try drugs. I'm not telling you to do. But actually, there was one drug I was really fascinated about, and actually a bunch of other scientists were really fascinated about, called dimethyltryptamine, which was the natural compound found in all kinds of shamanic plant medicines that they would do like ritualistic ceremonies with. Like in Peru, you don't earn the right to become a man unless you get really high on this shamanic drug, and they drop you off in the woods like a mile out, and you got to find your village again and communicate with the spirit animals that come up. And I kid you not. So anyway, some scientists, they wanted to harness, they would make like a special tea that would stimulate this drug and this reaction, and they tried to harness it, and somehow or other, I'm the dope who is like, yeah, let me buy a bunch of plumbing pipes and make a little thing and figure out a way to vaporize this and smoke it. But anyway, I did that, and I had a really, really crazy type of experience where I actually very viscerally felt that I went out of my body. And for me, that was just like the craziest type of thing, because I lived my whole life believing I was this body. Just like many of you, probably, right? You think, no, if I told you, no, you're not your body, you'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm not my body. That's all I ever thought I was, right? But if you could not be your body, that would just create a whole new paradigm shift in your life, correct? Yes, but actually that's what the spiritual teachings have always been telling us, all the great spiritual traditions, saying, no, you're not this body of flesh. You're something much more. And you have a place far beyond where the body dwells in this world. Anyhow, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also leading us to that place. Krishna is also leading us to that place. But we have to be willing at least to check it out. If we don't check it out, we haven't done our due diligence as truly intellectual people. We have to consider all sides. They say truth is stranger than fiction. Right? This is a Western axiom. Truth is stranger than fiction. Jesus says the truth will set you free. So we should evaluate what is the ultimate truth, and test, There's all kinds of in the schools of science, they are testing. There is science of the soul. It's not in any universities. They don't have do you guys have the soul department in Syracuse? No, maybe the religious building, but I don't even know if you could consider that. But no, they don't teach that. There's the science of the soul. They have the psychological portion, the science of the mind, biology, the science of the bodies. But the ology of the soul, soulology, isn't really taught in most universities. So anyhow, we're trying to teach some soulology here. That's not a word, but I'm coining it. So anyhow, what else is in this soulology that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving will happen by practicing the Sankirtan, or glorifying God. Sarvatma, Purnamrita Svadanam. Actually, sorry. Purna is full, like it's Purnima, it's the full moon tonight, and we're going to have a lunar eclipse. Where is it? Oh, Purna Amrita. What's Amrita? Nectar. Full of nectar. Anyone like nectar? Like mango nectar. Who likes mango? Oh God, just like...
Is the eclipse today?
The eclipse is tonight. You should stay inside and pray. Or sleep. You can sleep.
At 1 a.m.
It's at between 2:30 and 4 a.m.
It's a long time.
Yes, it's like an hour or so. But just stay inside and pray, or you sleep. That's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
In the paper it said from 11 till the early hours.
Maybe I'm wrong. It's
I don't-
possible.
I'm
I looked it up briefly, but I totally could have been wrong.
not sure.
But actually, it might start earlier, like you. But the full eclipse, what I thought I read was sometime between 2:30 and 4.
Yeah.
But there might be the beginning transition to the full eclipse, starting at 11. But anyhow, where are we? Purnamrita, full of nectar, asvadanam. It gives a taste, full of nectar. It's a metaphor. By glorifying the Lord incessantly, you will actually, you will experience full nectar. Like your life will become nectarian. That sounds wonderful. To have a very, very sweet, wonderful life. We're all looking for that. We're all looking for that. But then again, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hypothesis. Now it's time, maybe test. And he'll give you the process on how to test it. He'll give you the process. If we get to it, there's a lot to translate. And then Sarvatma Snapanam. And then we said in the beginning, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna. All glory is to that transcendental Sri Krishna Sankirtana. But Sarvatma Snapanam. Sarva, for everyone, all. It's for everyone. And Atma, every soul. Atma Snapanam, it's the bathing of the self. So this is the very thing we need to bathe ourselves in, immerse ourselves in. So that's the first verse. And again, the translation was, My Lord, O personality of God, in your holy name there's all good fortune for the living entity. And therefore, oh no, that's the next one, sorry. But we kind of just went through it. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart, stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. So that's one translation. The next verse is, do you know it? Nam namakadi, you can sing if you know it. Nam namakadi bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrapita niyamita smaranena kalaha etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi dordaiva mirisham mihajani nanuragaha. Nam of the holy names, Nam's name. Akari, manifested, of the manifested. Bahuda, of the various kinds. Nija Sarva Shaktis. Nija Sarva Shakti, all kinds of personal potencies. So meaning you've given all of your Shakti, all of your potency, your power in your name. Usually in this world, the name isn't the same as the Shakti. Like if I chant Coca-Cola, 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 I won't necessarily manifest Coca-Cola before me. Actually, nothing that we chant in this world is the same as the actual substance itself. But actually, the Lord and His name are said to be like that thing that we can't find anywhere else in this world. That just by calling upon the name of the Lord, the energy of the Lord becomes present with you. So this is very nice. Again, this is the hypothesis. The application, you'd have to test it for yourself, and then you could see yes or no. So tatra, in that, no, it's tatrarpita niyamita smarane nakalaha. Tatra means in that, arpita, bestowed. Niyamita means restricted. Smarane, in remembering. Nakalaha, not consideration of time. So what that means, this whole translation is, My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity. And therefore you have many names, such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your potencies in those names. And there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. There are no restrictions for remembering the names of God. Actually, that's one thing nobody can ever take away from you, is your greed, right? you could be like a homeless person, but you might have a crush. Like actually, I'll give you an example. When I was younger, I had a crush on Miley Cyrus. You know Miley Cyrus? I look back, I'm like, wow, my wife is so much better than Miley Cyrus. My goodness. Thank God the Lord doesn't fulfill all your prayers. Because I had a crush on Miley Cyrus, but Miley Cyrus, I look at her now and I'm like, oh gosh, that would have been really, really, that would have been terrible. But anyway, no one could have took that greed away from me. I was not qualified to be in any relationship with Miley Cyrus. She likes those big hunky men, like the Liam Hemsworth and all of those guys. But anyway, I had no qualification for that. But no one could have taken away my greed. There was no restriction to me having the desire. So similarly, there's no desire, there's no restriction on you having the desire and calling out to the Lord. Even if somebody wants to your boss tells you, hey, you shut up, you stop doing that. He can't take away you doing it in your mind. So there's no hard and fast rules for calling upon the Lord. And there's no time, place, and circumstance that you can't do it. You can do it anyway. Actually, it's recommended you do it everywhere. Etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi. Etadrishi, so much, tava, your, kripa, mercy. It's Bhagavan, O Lord, mamapi. Although that's what it says here. But there's so much mercy. He bestows such mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy names. So much mercy comes by the calling of the name of the Lord. I mean, it even says in the Bible, one who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. So this is the main recommendation. Yes, we may not be able to quantify God or find so much evidence, but those who call upon God, they feel the presence. We cannot take away that there's so many people who've had mystical or spiritual experiences, and traditions all across the world. It's unanimous. Actually, it's the only thing that distinguishes the human being from the animals. Actually, animals and human beings, the main focus is eating, sleeping, mating, and acquiring things of this world and defending them. This is mine, my house, my job, my position, my dresser, this mine, that's mine, that's my candy, so on. And a bird might say, that's my nest, these are my eggs, these are, things like this. The only thing that distinguishes a human being from an animal is inquiry into the absolute. Well, what's the purpose? Why am I here? Is there must be a reason. There could be a reason. And that's what all the great religions, and even science, this is actually a type of religion. A type of path where we're trying to inquire into the absolute truth. It's not that the religions are saying, no, we don't like truth, we like mythology. It's not like Jesus said, mythology will set you free. No, he said the truth will set you free. It's actually a great science. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says the greatest science. You know what he says the greatest science of all is? The science of the self. The science of understanding who you are. That will take a more religious platform. It's not biology or psychology. It's soulology. So anyhow, but this is our problem. Durdaivam idrisham mihajani nanuragaha. Durdaivam's misfortune, idrisham, such, iha, in this holy name, Ajani was born. Not anuragaha. Meaning, I have no attachment for chanting. I have no desire at all for any of the processes of connecting to the Lord. I can chant the name of God, but I have no taste for it at all. Who here, has so much faith and love for God that they always want to chant the Lord's names? Yes, none of us really. We don't like that. No, I'd much rather taste ice cream. Yes, I'd much rather eat ice cream. I'd much rather, have sex. I'd much rather, do this, that, the other thing. Watch Netflix, this, that, and the other thing. But in the first verse, it said how wonderful everything would be if we were fully immersed in the Lord and calling upon the Lord. But this verse actually is a more humbling verse because it actually puts us where we're really at. We really don't like it too much. We really don't like the Lord that much. Maybe we say maybe we're religious by show. Oh, I like to make a show. I'm religious. Maybe I do this thing once a week. Maybe I do this thing once a day. Maybe I do this thing half of my day. But when it's all said and done, I can't wait till I get my, pleasures of the flesh. Because that's what most people, the eating, sleeping, mating, defending, the more carnal desires. This is what most people are really, it's the bottom line for most people. So anyhow, this is our unfortunate position. So what do we do? The next verse. Most important verse. This is said in our whole lineage. This is the number one teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This verse. If you know it, let's chant it. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Okay. Trinat. What's Trinat in Sanskrit? Rishabh, you're a Sanskrit scholar.
What's the word?
Trinat.
From the grass?
Yes, grass. Yes. Api is even, and sunichena, being more humble even than grass. Now, how do you be more humble than grass? Actually, with a little bit of knowledge, you can, if you have some soulology, the science of the soul, you know that also that's the individual soul, how it's a spark of God. Now the Vedas teach the nature of the soul and how every single living entity has a soul, which is why one of the reasons we don't eat meat or animals is because we understand that, hey, that's a soul. If we cause harm and suffering to this soul, it will come back around and it'll harm us. This is a little bit of soulology. You might not, I can't give you, this is a phenomena, right? A farming analogy is you reap what you sow. If you sow good seeds, you get good fruit, right? Good plants. If you sow bad seeds, you'll get bad. You've heard this, what goes around comes around? Maybe you can't prove it with science, but has that happened to you? When you do bad, you'll get some bad result, and when you do good, you get some good result. Jesus says a good tree will bear what? Yes, fruit. What kind of fruit? It's a good tree. That's the hint. Yeah, good fruit. And a bad tree, what type of fruit will that bear? Bad fruit. Like, I'll give you an example. What's a bad fruit? Dang, I like most fruits, actually. But actually, that's because I only sell the good fruits. No one really sells the bad fruits. Actually, you go out in the woods and you pick the berries on the tree that you see. Actually, you'll get a bunch of bad fruits there. Did you ever do that? It's very dangerous, actually. I was into when I was like a hippie for a little bit of time. After I figured out that I was a soul and I wasn't this body, I was like, man, I got to figure out something. So I was trying the hippie life, and I was like, well, maybe everything in nature is good for you. And I had, that was my hypothesis, and my experimentation proved me wrong. Actually, most things in nature are trying to kill you. But you don't necessarily, you think that's funny. But, I took some berries, I squeezed them. They tell you how to do it. You should touch it to your lips. If it stings, you should know that's bad. But if you actually put it to your tongue, it's much more dangerous. And if you actually eat it, you could die. So anyway, if you ever want to test whether it's a good fruit or not. Yeah, but there's so many bad fruits out there. And you could say, that's a bad tree. Why are you giving bad fruits? But at least for you, it's a bad fruit. The bird might be a good fruit. They could eat that or something like that. But anyway, where were we? How did we get into fruits? Yes, Trinadapi Sunichena. Trying to be more humble than the grass. We should know that the grass actually is a soul. That you really, in your position, right now you're in a human body, But if we're eternal souls, and then there's something called samsara that is explained in the Vedas, meaning that we journey from body to body to body. Like all these other animals, there's a cycle of life. There's just like there are seasons. Right now we're in what? The spring season. No, we're not in the spring season. We're coming to the spring season, but we're still kind of in the winter season. But anyway, we're coming to the spring season. And right now we're in a human body. And then there's seasons of life. Oh, right now I'm in youth. Life is good in youth. And then at some point you get old and this isn't as fun of a season. Right? So then similarly, there are transitions of life. You could be in a fly's body. You could be in a lizard's body. Horses, this, that. Actually, it's said that we're so fortunate to be in a human being's body. That no other species that at least we know of here in this world that we can observe with our eyes has the good fortune. My wife is giving me the 20-minute warning. She texts me to let me know when I'm over speaking. But we're in seasons of life, and there are also it's said there are seasons of existence. This is a good season, being a human being. You're not guaranteed the human form of life after this. It's said actually, if your consciousness, let's just say you really like to eat, nature has a perfect arrangement for you. You could be a pig or a bear, or you can be an elephant, a rhino, no problem. Let's just say your consciousness is very much absorbed in sex life. Yeah, sex, that sounds pretty good, right? All the youth, that's what most youth are looking for. No problem. You could be a bird. Birds are always having sex. I didn't notice this, but they always flap together, and you think, oh, they're just having fun. No, they're actually that's what they have, just a quick round, and then they go about their business. They have sex hundreds of times a day. Like a pigeon has sex 100 times a day. So if you really like sex in this life, no problem. You could be a pigeon. Nature will have some perfect arrangement for you. Let's just say you like the taste of flesh and blood. No, there's that. Many cultures. I ate meat for many years. And only when I learned a little bit of soulology was I wait a second. Is this going to come back around? Is this going to bear me bad fruit? And then I stopped eating meat for that reason. But I loved the taste of it. But let's just say you have a taste for flesh and blood. No problem. There are plenty of species for that. It could be a tiger. It could be, even any omnivorous species, So many birds and everything. They all survive by, every animal dies by another animal eating it. That's mostly how, not many animals are dying of old age. They die of weakness, and then whatever in nature gets them. That's the next thing. Only humans, we die of old age because we protect ourselves in the facilities and allow ourselves to die there. But animals don't die like that.
Also eagles.
What's that?
Also eagles.
Also eagles. I'm you know what? I'm not familiar with eagles, but Rishabh, you might have some facts on eagles.
Yeah, but they're not hunted. They just prey on dead flesh.
Yes, but I'm not exactly sure. If something found an eagle there, weak and dying, it probably would eat it. But I'm not sure. But this is just at least my conjecture. But anyway, the soulology is that we're really no different than the blades of grass. The blades of grass are non-different from us. We're just in a different season than they are. And this would actually cause us to be very humble. And just like the blades of grass, it's also a metaphor. The blades of grass just let us step on them. And they can't and don't protest. Actually, this is said to be the recommendation. If you don't have a taste for spiritual life, which we all don't, we have to become more humble. We have to realize that we're not of some big, great position. That we're actually just legends in our own mind and nothing more. All the things that we flout about ourselves that's so wonderful will be lost in the course of time very soon. In the span of eternity, it's no more than a quick snap in eternity. That's what the whole 100 years or 80 years or 60 years, or now it's getting less and less. depending on how you live your life. But if we have a deep understanding of the soul and a deep understanding of eternity, we'll naturally be humble. So that's what we have to do. We have to cultivate humility. That's why Jesus says, blessed are the humble and the meek. Also is recognized. Everyone likes humble people. No one likes proud and arrogant people. It doesn't matter who you are. So this is the most important thing. To become more humble than Trinat, more humble than the grass. And then it's Taro Rapi Sahishnuna. Taro is what? A tree. Api even. Sahishnuna. More tolerant. That means if someone was mean to you, you accept it. Jesus gave the teaching of turning the other cheek. If someone slaps you on one side, you give him the other cheek. He said to Peter, those who live by the sword will die by the sword. If we want to, karma, it'll come back around. If you always want to fight, or if you want to retaliate or get revenge or this like that, the Vedic understanding is completely different. It's accepting, I must have done something in a previous time to get this. This reaction is coming because I've done something I should not have done previously. It's just coming back around. Even if it's coming from 10 lifetimes before, we don't know. If we're eternal and we've been doing this wheel of existence, that means we've done all kinds of good things, but we've done all kinds of bad things too. And just in this lifetime, how many bad things have you done? I've done so many. I can't even count how many bad things I've done. So it's got to come back around. It has to. So we should be more tolerant and we accept. This is a result of my karma. Not to say that we should put ourselves in situations to be abused. But if we do get abused and we can't do anything about it, we accept it. What else can you really do? You have to accept it. Anyhow. So that's the main two instructions. Be more humble than grass and more tolerant than trees. Trees let people chop them down. People climb on them, steal their fruits, rip off their branches. Anything that they want, they do. Tree just allows. This is the recommendation. And then amanina. Amanina means to become prideless. If you really know your position is no better than grass, and you really become more tolerant than tree, you've achieved amanina. You won't have pride. We're so proud. What are you proud of? What are we proud of? I looked at Janesh and I was like, I'm a doctor, But what is there really to be proud of in this world? But we're so proud, I looked at Shivadas because me and him were both Italian. In Italian, we're proud people. Italians are very proud people. My family's like this, gabagool, like this. Well, we're so, Michael loves it. We're so proud of where we were born, the family we grew up in. This is 80 years of just a snap of anything. We're so proud. We must become prideless, actually. We must realize that, what are we so proud of? There's nothing really to be proud of in this body, in this world. But we're so proud. I've done this, I did this, I have this great accomplishment in life. What have we really done? And what have you done in the past? You have no idea. You could have been Hitler in the past life. Is that funny? That sounds disturbing, actually. But hey, you could have been Hitler. You could have done so many horrible things, and you're so proud because you work at CVS or sorry, it's something like that. He actually quit his job today. A few days ago. Yeah, Michael put his 2 weeks in BJ's and Ben, and then. Or you work at Tesla. I'm picking on all of the ashram boys here. Or you're a PhD student. What are we so proud of? What have we really accomplished? You know, it'll all be lost in some short years. In eternity, it's nothing. Oh, I'm a human being. Man, for now, who knows? You won't be after, 100 years. But for sure. Manadena. We should be ready to offer all respect unto others. Because we realize the necessity of being humble, because we realize the necessity of being tolerant, and we put our pride down and try to endeavor towards pridelessness, naturally we'll start to respect others. And when we're in that state and we start really showing respect to all others, then Kirtaniya Sadahari. Then, in such a state, we can always glorify the Lord. We are always ready to glorify the Lord because we're not interested in glorifying ourselves anymore, which has been the tendency for our whole lives. So these are the most important teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was 3 out of 5. It gets progressively more deep and more intense. But I just gave something, the essentials. But this is a science. This can't be learned in one night. This can't be understood in one visit. You'll have to read. If you don't have books, we should get you books. Everyone should check out the Soulology. It's really, really far out. And at least if you see it, you'll have a perspective on life that's maybe different than maybe the proud philosophy that you live by. Oh, I know. Does anyone here think they've figured out life? And this is a common understanding. We have scientists in the room. The scientists, they know. The more you know, the more you realize what?
The less you know.
Yes. Right? In modern science, they're realizing that what they're studying is progressively, it's infinite. Meaning that if you quantify what you know, and let's say you know 13, the number 13 amount of information. If you just put a quantity to it. Anything over infinity is what? What's that? Yeah, it's practically 0. This is math, right? Any whole number over infinity is 0, or approaching 0. It's pretty like the 0.00000, and then some number will come there. There's some quantity there, but for all intents and purposes, it's 0. So who here is proud of, I know 0%? Who here can be proud of being like, oh, I know 0% of information? I'm a scholar knowing 0%. No, naturally we shouldn't be proud. Even if you become the greatest scientist, like Albert Einstein. I think wasn't he one of the ones who proved the infinity of things? I don't know. That's not my field. But we should be ready to understand. We likely don't know. Actually, all the greatest men that we follow, like when people tell me like what books they like to read, like, oh, I read this book by Richard Brown. I don't know who Richard Brown is. I was like, oh wow, Richard Brown. What are his qualifications? And if you're like, well, he knows 0% of everything, why would you want to read his book? Right? Well, he's the number one field in this field. Maybe so, but he still knows 0%. So actually, it makes logical sense to take to a religious system. Why? Because the people giving information aren't claiming to know 0%. The saints, the sages, the prophets, they're connecting to a being who's omniscient. Omniscient means knows everything. That's what we should try and connect to. And you naturally would want to be humble. You realize, I know 0%, and every other man that exists knows 0%. Really, we're in a hopeless situation where I know 0% and everyone else knows 0% around me. unless there's a divine intervention that knows something, that actually has knowledge, we're screwed. Yes? Does that make logical sense? How am I doing for the sciencey people? Does that make logical sense? Yes? You could say no. We know zero. It's true. We've done the math. We know 0%, or pretty much we know 0% of the meaning of life, 0% of existence. The human eye, it's even proven, can see 0% practically of what the same technology can see. You know, the human technology, like the human eye can see 0% of what a telescope can see, practically, for all intents and purposes. But we're so proud. We can actually only perceive such a small part of reality. But we claim like we know so much. So someone gives some spiritual, teaching or advice. That's mythology. How do you know? With your 0% knowledge, you're deducing that this is mythology? Because that's all it is. That's all our perspectives really are. We're not experts on anything. But anyhow, so we should be humble. And we should at least observe. What is it? Okay. They're saying this is full knowledge here? Alright, let me see. And actually, it's interesting. I did this when I had the realization that I was not this body and that I was a soul. I wanted to study what are all these traditions. What are they all saying? And interestingly enough, my mom told me this when I was a kid. Because I was like not just an atheist, but I used to preach atheism. Like I was religious as a Christian. And then I felt my religion failed me when I was a kid for all kinds of different reasons. So then I just assumed that, well, because I found faults in this one, then they all must be nonsense. And it all just must be like myths and crazy, nonsense. So then I became like a staunch religious atheist instead, which was like the funny, became a fanatic atheist. So anyhow, but I used to argue with my mom, and she was like, I would argue against religion, and she would say, I studied religion in college, and it's really interesting that when you actually get into it, they all kind of say the same thing. They're all saying a very similar thing. That's pretty bizarre. That all across the world, there's so many unique religions. Come on in. What's your name? Apura. Smith, nice to meet you. Come in. But all the religions of the world they're all practically saying the same thing. That there's a God, and that we should, try to understand and love such a God. So anyhow, that's my humble request to you to try and take your life deeper, and we need to check our pride. We don't have it all figured out. I know I don't. Every day I'm just relying on God's mercy. That's the only way I can get through. I try to make plans and I make my endeavors, but at the end of the day, it's not up to me. The divine will, thy will be done, as Jesus says. It will always be that way. We try to control everything, but we can't control anything. Is it not? So anyhow, these are some of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I personally find them so profound and wonderful. And yeah. Any questions? I'm sorry. I should have given time for that thing. No problem. Any questions? I just made it very awkward.
So if against eating meat, because they are souls, you alluded to plants also having souls.
Yes.
And plants, don't plants also have feelings? Don't
Yes,
also have
yes.
sensation?
Yes. So, there is ways to eat where you don't even harm plants. So, for instance, if you eat fruits, or you eat things like this, fruits, squash, vegetables, even grains, seeds, these things don't actually harm the host plant as well. And actually you see, like for instance, not a lot of people know this about Jesus, but Jesus came from a certain sect of Jews that were called Essenes. And Essenes, they were very, very peaceful people. They took voluntary poverty. And one of the things they were very famous for is being like frugarians, where they would eat only, they didn't even want to harm plants. Now, that being said, do I even follow that myself? No. You know, there are certain vegetables and things that I eat. But we have a process in our tradition where we offer everything unto God. And this is actually a teaching given in the Bhagavad Gita, that everything should be offered unto God. And now, in all religions, Muslim, Judaism, they also, they're supposed to even offer their meat to God. That's what kosher and halal and all these things are. So that they also should be offering to God. But that being said, you know, if I took a stalk of celery and I said, it's Liam, right?
Yes.
And I was like, Liam, go in the corner and I want you to decapitate this celery. No one in the room would have any objection. They're like, all right, why did he talk it like that? But that's fine. But if I were to then, you know, take a chicken or a person or say, hey, can you go cut this up for preparation? Everyone would be like horrified that you just killed it. Just killed the chicken in the room or something like that. But like, so you like see the difference? It's, there's a huge gravity and difference. And, you know, you won't experience the celery suffering. It might actually at the cellular level something's happening, but you're not going to experience it. But if you try and kill a dog, or if you try and kill a pig or a cow or a chicken, they are not going to be happy. They're going to be crying. They're going to be fighting you, you know, like running, fear, so much suffering you're causing them. So it's just recommended not to do that because of how much suffering you're causing. Whereas like a carrot won't protest, you know, and no will anyone else who sees you murdering the carrot. They'll just like, all right, you just cut up a carrot. But if you just butchered a chicken and yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
I actually think it was scientifically proven that if you're eating fruit and vegetables, if you don't bless it ahead of time, they actually they scream.
Well, fruit will?
Yeah, and veggies. So, you know, that's blessing it. I guess is key.
Well, yeah, that is the recommendation because it is said in the Vedic understanding that you will get karma even from eating vegetables. But it's the nature. Every other living entity survives by eating other living entities. That is just how existence works in this world. Every living entity survives by eating another living entity. But to minimize the trauma and suffering is recommended, which is, you know, yeah. But if you don't have to kill the plant if you eat like a fruit or a seed. But the main thing is what we do here is we offer it as an offering to the Lord, and we ask the Lord to bless this and to honor it himself before giving it to us. And we're just eating that which he's... my wife is texting me things that I'm not sure what they mean. She said Jesus Revolution, I think. I don't know. Maybe someone else knows what she's saying. I don't. But anyhow, but yeah. Yes.
The movie.
Yeah, what about it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I knew that movie, but I didn't know what she was talking about. But that's okay. But yeah, there is the blessing is the most important thing. I mean, that's if you read Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, it says, matter of fact, that anyone who eats for their own enjoyment without first offering it in sacrifice, verily means truthfully eats only sin. So that which has missed the mark or is going to come back around. So that is a good point. Is that helpful?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anything else from anyone?
I believe the Vedas also say like that eat like the karma from eating vegetables is lower
Oh yeah,
than the karma from eating
much
meat.
lower.
So it's not like it's pure, it's less.
Yes.
It's very
Yes, it's like far. It's like the same analogy, the reaction he'd get if he butchered a chicken in the corner versus the carrot. No one would harm you, but if you killed something in the corner, you might get beaten here. If someone did, like it would be, the reaction would be far different, almost immediately. You could just test that out if you want. I don't recommend. Yeah, but go ahead.
Someone asked Prabhupada this exact same question, and he said that, yeah, people think in our tradition we are vegetarians, but we're prasaditarians.
Yes.
And the simple reasoning that he gave was, Krishna accepts, we eat whatever Krishna accepts,
Yes.
and he accepts vegetarian food, so that's it.
Patram pushpam phalam jalam.
So,
So,
Yeah.
yeah, Krishna himself, when he asks, he requests that we offer things, and things from leaves, flowers, fruits, water, milk, and grains. There's thousands of combinations you can do from those items, and you can make a pure offering that way. But anything else is not considered acceptable, at least by Krishna. Now, God in other traditions, might accept, slaughtering the lamb or this, that, and the other thing. But interestingly enough, like for instance, the Judeo-Christian religion, kosher is a big thing. But not a lot of people know this about Jesus. The main reason he got crucified is that he flipped the tables in the temple and he let out all the sacrificial animals, and he stopped the exchange of money, and the words he said were, this is a den of thieves. But actually the Greek word that they used in the Bible was, thieves could be one part of the word, but actually it was more so akin to murderers. And not a lot of people know that Jesus did not condone, the murdering of animals, because that was the main business of the temple. Yeah, bring the animal for salt. They'd sell the animals, they'd slit its neck, and then they had literally a channel of blood running in the temple, and that's how, the temples operated. I'm really happy our temples don't have channels of blood running through them. But that was the main temple in Jerusalem that actually Jesus said would topple to the ground. And what did he do? He called them all murderers, actually. So this isn't well known because there was a concentrated movement to actually remove this. There's actually a really interesting movie, if you're into such things, called Christspiracy. I don't know if you ever watch that movie. It really goes into interesting detail. The Jesus we've been presented is not the Jesus that may have factually been there. So, but anyway, these are some things. But also a first rule of yoga. Yes, it's time. The first rule of yoga is ahimsa, and this is again Jesus' teaching. It's consistent, turning the other cheek, not being violent. So naturally, you can't non-violently eat animals. It's very rare that you could let an animal die of old age and then only eat it. It would be a tremendous amount of effort to do that. You'd eat maybe like 2 animals in your whole lifetime or something like that. Like a cow or something lasts like 30 years. So, anyhow, these are some thoughts. Cool. All right, my wife is cracking the whip. It is time. So what we're going to do 2 things. We're going to do 2 ceremonies. Now, I just gave you all the hypothesis why calling upon the Lord is such a good idea. You may not understand what we're doing. The main thing we're going to chant this Maha Mantra. But we're going to sing a prayer, a bhajan, first. You won't know what it means, but I'll tell you just very basically. It's what it means is we're glorifying the process that Lord Chaitanya gave, and it's a glorification of Lord Chaitanya, and it's a glorification of the kirtan process, a glorification of the instruments and the devotees and everything that we're doing. So we're pretty much just glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his associates, the process, and then we're all going to chant the Maha Mantra, which is offering glories to God. We try to be enthusiastic. Hopefully I may have invoked, I didn't do anything, but maybe the Lord has invoked that we have some spiritual impetus. We may realize we know 0% of anything and that we'd like to have some type of mercy in our life from our very humble state of being beings who are completely dependent on the divine will, actually. So naturally we should call to the, if there is a divine power, please help me. And so that's the best attitude when chanting the Maha Mantra. And then after that, we're going to actually do a bathing ceremony as well. It's called Abhishek. Anyway, join in to whatever you want. The main thing, we're just going to chant and be happy. And then afterwards, we'll all eat together. Does that sound good? All right. Thank you all for coming. Rishi, are you ready? Do you want me to blow the conch for you? Okay. What's that? Yes. Arti first and then Abhishek. Oh, how did I do that? What? No, I don't think, I don't know how. Actually, Mukunda, what do you think? Do you think we can do Arti and Abhishek at the same time?
I think it'll be difficult,
Yeah, so we're just going for it.
because we were kind of talking about that.
Yeah.
I'd be in the way of
Okay.
parties.
Rishi can do an expedited Arti, or you could just do a very, you do good, you're the perfect Arti man. Okay. Okay, I actually need the words. Kiba Jaya. Actually, maybe it's some people with technology. If we can pull up Gaura Arti and have all the boys go around and so people can read it, that would be nice. But if not, you can Google. The Google Acharya is here. And yes, if you're in the WhatsApp groups, you can just look in the WhatsApp groups and you can have it, pull it up, and it's there. So, Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Harati Koshoba Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Harati Koshoba Janavi Tatavani Jagama